Okay, now we are starting on a new chapter, Atmosphere and the Environment. This is a relatively easy chapter. Okay, a lot of facts to remember. So just take note, put up your best brains up there and try to memorize every single thing. Okay, first up, let's look at this here. Okay, we are going to talk about the air, okay, before we talk about the atmosphere. So take note, the Earth is surrounded by a blanket of air which we call the atmosphere. You must know the composition, okay, especially for this tree over here. Okay, nitrogen is about 78 to 90%, oxygen is about 20%, and carbon dioxide is 0.03. These are the important ones that you must remember. Okay, water vapor range from 0 to 5%, noble gases about 1%. So the composition here, remember, you must memorize them, especially for this tree over here. Okay, so you can notice that actually majority of our air is made of nitrogen. Okay, 20% is made of oxygen. Now, what has the composition of air got to do with this? Okay, now one of the simple things we can talk about the oxygen tank. Now, for oxygen tanks that we have, okay, obviously it cannot be pure oxygen because it must be similar to the air that we breathe. So the oxygen tank that they use for diving, is actually made out of 80% nitrogen and 20% air, 20% oxygen. So this will actually match the composition of air that we breathe. Okay, 20% oxygen. So now, after we know the composition of air, what is important here? We move on to fractional distillation of air. Okay, because we know that nitrogen and oxygen, these two are very important gases which are widely used. Okay, they are widely used in industry. So how do we obtain them? Okay, how to obtain them? How to obtain them? Okay, so obviously how to obtain them is actually by doing fractional distillation. Okay, fractional distillation. So in order to get our nitrogen and oxygen, what we do is we will first cool our air. Okay, air is first cooled, and then later we will compress it. Okay, we'll cool and then compress it into a liquid. So the air that we have, okay, the gas particles I have, we will cool it and compress it so that it becomes a liquid. This is how we go about trying to, the first step of how to make our liquid air. Next, okay, how do we go about getting all the different air? Okay, we actually do this process called fractional distillation. Okay, so you can see from previous part, nitrogen, oxygen widely used. So how do we do it? We make it into a liquid air, then we do fractional distillation. So obviously, first step here, this part here is to make it into liquid air. Okay, that's the first part. And the second part here, what we do is, sorry, let me get my pen ink out. What we do here is, we are doing our fractional distillation. Okay, so what's the key thing about fractional distillation? You must note that in fractional distillation, the liquid with the lowest boiling point distills over first. Distill means, okay, we obtain it first. Okay, we obtain it first. So example in our next diagram. Okay, so you can see here, stage 1, we cool and compress it, we get liquid air. Next, we do fractional distillation. So you can see that there are these 3 boiling points over here. So what we're going to get is, actually the first thing that comes out is liquid nitrogen. So when we let the air boil, okay, fractional distillation is actually allowing the air to boil. Imagine, sorry, not blow, boil. Don't know why I'm spelling it that way. Okay, so what happens is that when it's a liquid, okay, you're gonna get a whole tank of liquid here. Okay, this is your air. Then you allow it to boil. Okay, allow it to boil, make it boil. Now, interestingly, when you allow it to boil, first thing that comes out is your liquid nitrogen. Is your nitrogen, sorry, no longer liquid, it's your nitrogen. So the air will actually expel out all the nitrogen. Okay, only nitrogen. and the melting point will actually be stuck at negative 196. After that, when all the nitrogen are gone, all the argon will be coming out, right? Because you can see here, 196, negative 196 is the lowest, followed by argon, negative 186, second lowest. And once all the argon is out, then all your oxygen will be coming out. So this is how they do fractional distillation of your air. Okay, take note, you must know the process as to how do they normally get nitrogen and oxygen industrially. Okay, what they do is they do the fractional distillation of liquid air. Two main process here. Air that we have, we cool it and compress it. Okay, the first part. Then after that, what they do is they will fractional distillate the air. Okay, they will let the liquid air undergo fractional distillation. Okay, and the three things that comes out of it in the order of nitrogen, argon, and then oxygen. Okay, so do take note of this process here. Okay, this marks the first part. We talk about air and how we can get the different components out of it.